Welcome back to this latest episode of Japan's Top Business Interviews. I'm your host, Dr. Greg Story, President of Dale Carnegie Tokyo Training. My special guest today is an old friend of mine, Carl Moser, who is the President of Vollmer Group here in Japan. Carl, welcome. Good to see you.
Greg, pleasure to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
People may not know Vollmer so much. What is the business? Just describe it for people a little bit so they understand the context.
Well, we are, let's say, a typical German mid-sized company, Mittelstand. Mm-hmm. So, it's a hidden champion. So, one of the top 500 hidden champions, even we are listed. So, it started back in 1999. So, when a guy called Heinrich Vollmer, he founded a company for the resharpening of saw blades. Saw blades, a typical, like for wood cutting. I think everyone knows what it is. And so from that on, it developed very fast into sharpening machines. During the Second World War, they had to produce arms, but after the war, it was reestablished, and we internationalized at a quite early stage. That's why nowadays we have over 1,000 machines in Japan.
Wow, that's a lot.
Starting in 17, only exporting.
When did you start in Japan? When did the company start operating here?
I think we went the typical way, like most companies are going, like finding a distributor, a sole agent, and then importing and giving everything to them, because back then Japan was physically and location-wise very far away. And so in the 1970s, and former Japan itself was founded in 2000, after the distributor went bankrupt. So that means this year we will having 25 years anniversary.
Congratulations!
In Japan as
Congratulations! That's a fantastic achievement.
Correct. Yeah.
And how about yourself? Were you one of those guys who grew up looking at anime or martial arts like me? Or, how did the Japan thing happen for you? Why is it you're in Japan running this big company here? How does it work?
Right. Yeah, actually, indeed. So no manga I was not particularly interested, but it's similar like your story. Martial arts, I think you told me before you were doing karate, right?
Shito-ryu,
Shito-ryu,
traditional
yes,
Shito-ryu karate,
Yeah, I was also doing karate, Kyokushin karate, but also Iaido. Maybe you're familiar.
Doing the sword drawing, right?
Yeah, sword drawing, and
that's a very specialized thing. I mean, it's not kendo, where you can actually have a competition. It's impossible to have a competition with the Iaido.
Yeah, correct.
So it's a I'd say very esoteric type of art. How is it that you got into Iaido?
Actually, it's a very funny story. It was just after the graduation from high school, I was a little bit free. I'd say I happened to on the airplane on the way to the US, because I made a road trip in the US. So in the airplane, I saw the movie The Last Samurai.
Oh, right.
And then so back in Germany after my US holiday back then, I saw some like free magazine in my hometown of Augsburg in Germany, and say Iaido, the art of Japanese sword drawing. And I remember the movie The Last Samurai. I got curious. Okay, let's try that out. And then I liked it. It was quite sophisticated. So also, calm down. I liked the sports. And then when entering university, I studied business administration in university, but I saw Japanese for listeners of all faculties. And I said, okay, doing Japanese martial arts, so why not try to learn a little bit Japanese? That's basically it. And then we started with 100 people in the first semester, and then after four semesters, only 6 were left.
100 down to 6.
Yeah.
Japanese is not the easiest language to learn, is it?
No. I mean, it first sounds cool, but then you say, okay, very far away.
Yeah.
And if you have no connections, then maybe it's easy to give up. But I got the chance to make 1 year study abroad here at Waseda University.
So is it through an exchange program with your university or some other?
Yes.
It was nice. They had an exchange program for you.
Definitely. So it was usually it's very competitive Waseda, but my university was not. They have no Japanology or how you call it in English, the Japanese literature, such kind of things. And so, yeah, it was.
So let me guess, you got the Japanese bug really hard after 1 year at Waseda, I'm sure.
Sorry, what's that?
Got the Japanese bug, the sort of love for Japan's got you, you know. Once you come here, it's like suddenly it's hard to leave. So did you stay right through after you came from Waseda, or did you go back home?
No. I went back to Germany to finish my master degree.
Oh, okay, right.
So German diploma. And yeah, I made 6 weeks of internship. So at the end of my study abroad at Waseda, and at DMG Mori. Well, back then it was called Mori Seiki. Now it became DMG Mori because it was just the time when the cooperation between DMG, German machine tool company, and Mori Seiki started. And then they offered me after finish your master degree. So if you want to give it a try. I'll say, please,
That's nice. You haven't even graduated. You've got a job in Japan.
Yeah,
That's pretty good.
And
right?
the funny thing is, then I thought, of course, if that's, it's not so, doesn't fit me, I still can go back to Germany or Europe or wherever. So just give it a try. So, and then I didn't get my diploma yet. So, okay, well, once you get it, so hand it in, but they never ask for it again. So I just, that's...
Post it to me. Send it to me in the mail or something.
Yeah.
So that period when you came back after the master's degree, that was for an actual job. It wasn't an internship then. This is actual work,
this was
right?
an actual job,
Actual
yes.
job, right?
Yeah.
And how long did you work for that company when it was Mori?
It was, slightly less than 3 years,
Right.
Yeah.
And what were you mainly doing? I mean, you weren't probably leading a team by that stage, I guess. You were probably in a team.
In a team, yes.
Right.
Correct.
A very typical Japanese company, can I guess?
I would say so, yes, because like back then I was in the headquarters in Nagoya, and it's, it was so Dr. Mori will not kill me if I say that was a very conservative company back then. So just when looking at the machine now, it's, if you go there, it's simply the best of the best, state of the art, like brilliant in marketing, that company nowadays. But back then it was like just the machines were a gray block. And very typical Japanese.
What year were you in Nagoya? What years was that?
Well, the headquarters was in Nagoya.
No, what years were you in Nagoya?
What years? I think just 1 year from 2011 to 2012, and then I moved to the Tokyo office.
Right. And then what happens after Mori?
After Mori, was good. So experienced the Japanese, typical Japanese company it was back then from inside. Then I got the opportunity to be the Japanese technical sales manager for a German company in from Bavaria, state of Bavaria. I was at the distributor here in Japan as expat and supporting the local stuff. So from on the customer side and communications to the headquarters.
Is that when we met? I think I met you. It was a German chamber young leaders group, and I gave a talk, and I think you were in that group from my memory.
Correct, that's correct.
That's when the first time we met each other, I think. That's going back quite a while now, actually.
This was ODU, so the office just right from here,
Yeah. And so in that distributor, so you're representing a German company in Japan. Again, I guess you're not leading a team by this stage, or
no, I was
part of a team, or you're an independent operator within the distributor?
I was alone. Let's put it that way.
Right. Okay.
I was, a single fighter. So because had to, of course, the distributor has his own interest. So back then, so ODU was the second largest supplier he had in his portfolio. But, it's always the same. I think many people who listen can agree that if you work with a distributor in Japan, so sometimes you are top priority if there's a project, but sometimes you have low priority, and then headquarter gets nervous, or say, hey, come push more what they're doing, hey, but they are busy with other stuff now. So so this was like so always to push so that I don't stop marching forward. No? So, but I can only, of course, as you say, I'm not leading a team just so I can say, oh, please, hey, let's go now. And if you are just shitsukoi,
difficult, or I guess
annoying,
annoying
enough
annoying,
towards,
annoying keep bugging them,
to
buy something.
The sales guys of the distributor, then okay, they get appointment with the customers, and but
And would you go with them to the customer visits?
Yeah, of course, always a lot.
Well, that's important. That's very good. Yeah.
I had over 500 visits in 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Even after the company was founded later on.
And so, what happens after that?
I was at the distributor for a little bit more than 2 years, and then I suggested to the headquarter, come on, let's. We're making almost 3 million euro turnover. Time to found a subsidiary here in Japan. So because there's a lot of untapped business opportunities, and then I created a business plan, and then and after some discussions, get it approved, and then I founded ODU Japan, the Japanese subsidiary of ODU, and left to distributor. This was particularly...
That must have been a bit tricky.
Yeah, you say.
If they're like the number 2 source of their revenues, probably, and suddenly you're like, well, we're going to be doing it ourselves from now on. Thank you.
That was indeed they were worrying about, But actually, at the end we found a way, like, respectful talk with each other, and but the tricky thing was that the contract dated back to 1990. So back then, I guess they were very happy. There was 300 people company. So to have a distributor in Japan, and so they agreed on a contract which says that can only be terminated if both parties agree. So no expiration date and so on.
Wow,
and
that's pretty open-ended. Yeah,
that's pretty open-ended, and they used it, of course. And so it was to correct the contract. We said, okay, we won't touch existing business, so you keep dealing with them. And I mean, I think you also know that many customers, they appreciate a distributor being involved now. So many of them, in fact, they just wanted to keep going with the distributor. But then we agreed, so we only focus on new business. So they provided a list of customers of existing projects, and then first offered them 5 years of contributor contract, not as sole agent, but as, and then they renegotiated to 10 years. So then, and then we were good to go to found the subsidiary here in Japan.
I always find interesting with Japanese companies that they're not litigious, legalistic, like particularly in America. So when it's in their interests, they say, well, we shouldn't be too legalistic about the contract. So let's not follow the contract because situations changed.
Correct.
Right? But when it's the other way around, oh no, you got to follow the contract. It's like, hang on, wait a minute. You want both sides of the coin here? What's going on? But that's often a problem. And so in the reverse case, they would probably say to you, well, situation's changed now. Let's just forget that contract and move on. But they won't allow you to do that. So it's a bit more difficult. I always say that in Japan, often the contracts are not worth the paper they're written on from the Japanese side.
Correct.
Upholding the contract, right? And so you've got to be very careful. But signing an unlimited agreement, that's, again, I think, that stage with foreign companies, very typical. They're just happy to have a Japanese distributor.
Totally,
Oh, this is great. We don't have to do it. Extra income from Japan. We've got an export market. Great. But not thinking through the ramifications of that.
Correct.
But anyway, fortunately you got through that. And so that meant, I guess, that you started to build the representative office in Japan. You started to start hiring people and getting a team together, etc. So you're really now the guy in Japan. You're doing it all. You're the one, right?
Yeah.
So how difficult was it to get people to come and work for you? Because relatively, they may know the distributor. They probably don't know the German company necessarily.
Correct.
Don't know you. And so, quit your safe, stable Japanese company and come and work for me. foreign company, which may not be here next week, which is how Japanese think about it, how these guys can be around, it's stable. How did you convince people to come and join?
Yeah, this is a very good question, Greg. Exactly. Yeah. Well, we just founded it, well, first all by myself, and I was lucky. So with the, let's call it the office manager, no, the administrative lady, she was German speaking, or is. She's still there now. I think she left for some job in Germany, but yeah. Well, she came also from some German company here in Japan, and she was looking for a new challenge and work freely, and this is how I described the job. No, working very independent. So she was the first member on board, and then to hiring a salesperson. That is indeed, I mean, every recruiter I talked told exactly the same thing. And it was, I had a lot of talks, a lot of Mensets, interviews with candidates. And at the end, we ended up with a person which after 1 year turned out not as a fit, no, but so there were 2 candidates in the final stage, and the CEO in Germany himself, he insisted he wants to have the final interview, no? Oh. And then one was okay, English speaking. The other one could not speak English so good, but I had the preference for the other one, which I considered technically much stronger. And I think this is something which I can only recommend, because a lot of companies, they write business English in the job description. So, but this is some lesson I learned from that. So if you write business English, you attract these guys who just can speak English, but on the technical side have little to no skills. No? And if you end up with such a guy, you're basically in trouble. Yeah. So but well, the second hiring after 1 year became much easier, because already as the second sales guy, no? And
even for us, I mean, when we it's a franchise business, Dale Carnegie. I bought the franchise eventually, but when we took over the franchise in 2007. We had no staff, had to start from zero. And it was, even though Dale Carnegie is a massive brand name, it was so difficult to recruit people. Yeah. And in the end, we had to really overpay, salespeople to get them to take the risk of joining us. And so as we got going, a number of years later, when I took over as president, 3 years later, 2010, I was able to hire new salespeople at the proper salary. But we really had to take some pain just to get people to join us, because they just, risk averse. Japanese is not going to do it. So it's not easy, is it?
Yeah, exactly. This first guy I just mentioned was also overpaid. And he came from a American semiconductor related company. So because ODU is producing connector systems for medical, so reliable measurement applications, and you name military also recently became a thing. So and that company just quit in Japan, so left Japan. So he was laid off anyway. Yeah, but So resume sounded good, but at the end he turned out like this, like selling commodities. No? And selling commodities and doing technical sales, like solution selling, is a totally different story. And
taking orders is one thing, and actually convincing someone to choose you opposed to all the other alternatives, especially Japanese alternatives.
Correct. I mean, route sales is also something which must have some skills, not being friendly to the customer and so on. But technical sales is a different story. No? But
And how long were you in that company, and how big did it get before you moved?
I was until the year 2020 at ODU, and so when I left, it was about 6 people. Yeah,
right. Okay. So you built it up over time.
Yeah, with 2.5 million of turnover, euros in turnover, plus the distributor business. So
nice, nice. And then
I could left because I know that company will keep moving. Yeah, and the second sales guy. I just hired a second guy just a little before the first guy I just mentioned left. He's now the managing director. Yeah.
Oh,
And
okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
he's
Yeah,
running
very
smoothly, I guess. Yeah.
And so you joined Vollmer? Is that the point you joined Vollmer?
Yeah,
Okay, right.
that's correct. Yeah. So I received the offer so in the beginning of 2020. So I thought, okay, so machine tools, yeah, back to the roots somewhat, no? Where I started at Mori Seiki in 2011. Yeah, and yeah, and it was just short before that Corona thing started to happen. No?
And did that, I mean, in the training business, it's a devastation, because we're a face-to-face training and then, face-to-face, right? So difficult. We went online, but a lot of Japanese clients never went online.
Yeah.
They said, no, we want to do that. We'll come in the classroom. No, we don't do that either.
Yeah.
Oh, great. You don't do anything. Fine. But I guess if you're in the machine tool business, it's not really that impacted, or was it impacted?
Well, yes and no. So, I mean, of course, also for us, visiting the customer, if you don't visit the customer, talk with them on site, it's very difficult now, especially so like you do some test machining. So we are not like the big machine tool makers in the doing the metal cutting. So we producing tools now, or tools and rotation tools or saw blades, which are used in the 5-axis machines, and for instance from DMG Mori. And so you grind a sample, like a tool, a drill, or end mill, you name it, and like you have it on a table, and you're sitting with the customer, have to discuss that. Doing through video call is not so easy. Yeah.
Because I remember at that time companies had a policy: you can't visit us.
Yeah.
That was a company policy.
Yeah.
No, we accept no visits from anybody. So, whoa, that's a bit harder.
Yes, had to do something. But back then there was a lot of subsidy programs that helped us.
Helped everyone. Yeah. And how big was Vollmer when you took it over?
It was 15 people.
15.
15, 1-5, yeah.
So
15.
it basically doubled what you were taking care of before.
Yeah,
right?
more than that. Yeah,
right.
but it was interesting. So because, like, as you know, Japan locked everybody out from April 2020, and so I was good with the headquarters and was supposed to start in 18th of May. 2020.
Wow.
And, I mean, it was like founded in 2000. It was run by the founder himself, who retired at the age in 2015 at the age of 67. So it was pretty Japanese, the company. So even more so what I experienced back then in 2011 at Mori Seiki.
So were you? I mean, you're supposed to start in May. Everything's shut down from April. So you're coming in as a new leader.
I was here.
You're already here. Well, you're coming into the company as the new leader, and there's nobody there, and you're at home, and they're at home. I mean, is that how it started? Like,
this is how
on the Zoom call. Hi, everyone. I'm the new boss. I'm,
Exactly.
I'm Carl. Yoroshiku.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean,
that is a nightmare.
This is basically how it was. Yeah.
This is a total nightmare to start.
So the headquarter guys.
God.
I just had the first interview here in Japan, the second interview in Germany 1 month later in February. So then we were good to go very quick. So we come to an agreement. So they say, I'm so sorry, but of course we would have introduced you, but as you know, it's not possible. So I just went there. Okay, we met online meeting. And this was, I mean, they were, as I mentioned, so very Japanese despite being German company, subsidiary, no?
Let me guess. The Zoom call is silence on their part and just you talking and no reaction, right?
Yeah.
That'd be tough.
This was right so office in Omiya, no? Also pretty old and narrow, no? Yeah. And the interesting thing, so that we have at Vollmer quite young team, no? So a lot of people joined in their 20s. Yeah, and but still, no. So it's very Japanese, and they was curious. So what is this guy doing? Because I'm the first foreigner managing director.
When did you manage to get people back into the office to actually have physical meetings? So how long did that take?
Well, I think on that day everybody was there. No,
so okay. So
we never had home office policy. The people could take home office, no, and so actually we were not affected, no.
Oh, so they actually came.
They came.
So you had the Zoom meetings at the beginning, and then people actually in the office. That's better then. That's better. At least you can meet.
No, I mean when I walked in there for the first time, everybody was there. No, despite it was like in May 2020.
All masked up and separated.
Masked, of course. Say of course for a moment. So please take off your mask for just a moment, so that I can at least see your faces for a short moment. Yeah.
And so, what was it like going from having run a smaller organization to a much larger organization and a new organization? How did you approach it? How did you think about, how do I get this team engaged to follow me? I'm the new guy here.
Yes.
They all know what they're doing. I'm new. Yeah, you had experience in the industry before, but this is a different company and you don't know the people. So how did you get them engaged to follow you as the leader?
Well, I see. Before that, so a friend of mine recommended me a book. So it's the author's title it's called The First 90 Days. You know.
Okay. Yep.
Watkins. I forgot the first name.
You forget the title of the author. Yeah.
The First 90 Days. The onboarding Bible was said. So so one thing I found particularly interesting was the advice of letting them do get quick wins, no? So it's so which they can see an improvement, no? So for themselves, I mean, everybody's asking, what's in for me, no?
And I guess as the foreigner in the company representing the organization from Germany, quick wins, I'm guessing, isn't going to be suddenly clients are buying more because you turned up. It's probably more getting headquarters to be a little bit faster or more flexible or more cooperative or agreeing or something like that. Things that they can't impact so easily, which you can impact. So I'm guessing that's where the quick wins came, or was it actually in the business itself?
Yeah. Well, I would say both.
Okay.
So the first, let's say, quick win was like my predecessor. He made a very complicated travel regulations. No? So this was really like if it starts at 7 o'clock in the morning, then it's calculated half until 8, but then get the full NITO, the full compensations. So I just made very simplified, so just like 4,000 yen per day. So they didn't have to fill out it's very
can't have the paperwork. Everyone loves you.
That was
great. We love Carl. Yeah.
I abolished a lot of paperwork, to put it that way. So, but it's my predecessor, he came from a very large Japanese company, and he implemented where you have a SOMUBO,
General Affairs Department.
Affairs Department.
Never a good sign in a company to have a thriving General Affairs Department. Better the sales department is thriving.
Exactly. So this was very bureaucratic and so keep it simple. We're a small company, But also towards the headquarters, the communication. So pushing the project, say, hey, here we need to, or you guys in Germany need to do more, no? So to sort it out where the chances are. So because, sometimes the Japanese are hesitating.
And how does that work too? Because from the German headquarter point of view, they don't know you. You're new too. It's like some new guy turns up in Japan. He's very demanding. This guy wants this and this and this. Who is this guy? So how did you go about getting headquarters to be cooperative when they don't know you either, really?
Okay. Well, what I said when I was in Germany for the first time for the interview, so I said, I heard the story they had in Japan, and just said, and it isn't. I didn't just make that up, but I was convinced that it is the case that there must be much more in, but so how did you support the market until now? Yeah, well, sometimes we were traveling, but I asked them right away back then in the interview, so are you committed to, in Japan, everything takes longer.
Yeah.
And so I made this very clear. So
you did a nice job managing upwards from the very beginning. Well done.
Because if you don't raise your hands in Japan, so this is the basic problem. I experienced that in previous companies. So sometimes they said in Germany, but we have in America a product, and then the Americans, they have to say, man, a lot of demand. So half a year later, so how's the project? Yeah, you're facing problems, but it didn't turn out. But well, there were big opportunity. But yeah, okay, you didn't get the order. Yeah, just say it right away. And So, but German companies unfortunately fall for that. And so I give you all the details as much as possible as disclosed, but that I need your support.
That's good. If you want to be successful as a leader, do the Leadership Training for Managers course. All companies need people who can both manage and lead. Leading people screams out for real skills in communication, dealing with all different types of people, being excellent at innovation, planning, delegation, handling mistakes, doing performance reviews really well, and inspiring and motivating the team. Do the Leadership Training for Managers course now in either Japanese or English. Leading is easy. Getting people to follow is the hard part. That is a great quote from Yogi Berra. Surprisingly, despite the complexities of leading here in Japan, everyone has to work it out by themselves. Foreign leaders want practical, applicable, expert advice. This is now available for the first time in history. Grab your copy of Japan Leadership Mastery on Amazon today and avoid the mystery, trial and error, especially the errors. And any other things apart from freeing them from the slavery of filling out paperwork and lots of forms? Anything else you did to building the relationship with people? Did you have a sort of, I don't know, in 90 days, did it have take everybody out to lunch and, getting hit the booze after work with everyone? Or I don't know, how did you get to the human element of things to really connect with people?
Of course. Having lunch together, at least at the beginning. When later on everyone brings bento and then they want to be by themselves. So that's perfectly fine. It's usually how it goes in Japanese companies. But then also, at the evening, but also going out with them, that is very important. So see what everyone is doing. So, of course, so I'm also rather a sales guy. So I'm doing that. And back at ODU, I was also going out alone to the customers. So I'm basically a sales guy. So with the sales guys, of course, going out, but also with the service people, also so to get to know the machines, repairing the machines, and being with them on the spot, so that during the day, so that they can, then conversations evolve.
Was the previous president Japanese?
Yes.
I'm just wondering, in my experience, when you turn up as a foreigner to the client site, it has a little bit of a different feeling for them. That somehow you make it more international or more real, or they feel something different because you're a foreigner. And there's an advantage in that. And often, you speak Japanese, I speak Japanese, but my English capacity is fantastic. And I can describe very complex things very easily, and I can be very subtle, and I can be, quite smart about how I say things. But my Japanese vocabulary is nowhere near as big, so I tend to be more direct in Japanese, because I don't have the scale of words that I have in my own language. So it often happens that I will say things that are really quite to the point, and it's not sort of smoothed or edged around like I would in English. And they accept that. Because, he's a foreigner. I don't expect him to speak like a native speaker like we are. And that was pretty direct.
Yes.
but it's still the same point, you know. And
Yes.
in a way, if you're Japanese, that's very hard to do that. You've got to fit in with the Japanese language restrictions, the cultural restrictions, and you're expected to do it that way. So you can't push as hard. And I always found that an advantage as a foreigner in sales, like you, to help me push. How did you find it?
Yeah, I fully agree to what you said. So you can be, just more to the point, no? So ask direct also, maybe say, can you commit?
Rude questions, you know?
Again, not rude, but I wouldn't
From
call
a
it.
Japanese
I wouldn't,
perspective, pretty
I
rude.
wouldn't call it rude. So, but just particularly just a small anecdote. So I had it just last week at the customer. So we were doing a test trial for the third time, and he always come ask very detailed questions. So I want to see how. But then he starts, what are the advantages of the competitor? No? I ask, what's your point? So you just want to talk, or you really have planned to? 本当に買う気がありますか? Yeah, I ask him that. Yeah.
Well, that's very direct, Carl. I got to say. Why are you asking me about my competitor? Talk to them. I'm here. Talk to me.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but then it was actually good. So it's okay. So we think about focusing more on the European market. So what do you think? So you guys in headquarters talk to our subsidiary in Germany. So I think that's a good idea, no? So can I get the contact person in Germany? And and he gave it me immediately after the
nice.
Mm-hmm.
And what about things like getting ideas from people is always, in theory, a good idea. But in my experience, I've found that most companies don't have a good or even a formal ideation system of getting ideas, coming up with creative ideas. And we all tend to get into routines and habits, and, we do it the same way all the time. And the idea of coming up with some new concepts or new systems or new approaches, the brainstorming methodology usually the ideas come out not very good. Yes. So people think, this is not working, so they don't bother about it. Or the boss, like you and me, we're getting all this information from overseas, and we've got a different viewpoint from Japanese. We see it in a different way. We get ideas. So we become the idea generating machine. And then one day you realize, wait a minute, all the ideas around here are coming from me. These guys,
Yeah.
So what have you found works well to get ideas from the team?
Yeah, very good question. So, but I must say I encourage them to have an idea. Now, so if they say just talk directly, please speak up. Yeah, and of course,
But do they speak up? Because, Japanese, say that to Japan, my open door policy, no one uses it. Please speak up, no one speaks up. So how do you actually make that real?
In the meantime, it's they're doing that, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I came up with a lot of ideas at the beginning, and then I asked them to say right away what they are thinking. No, so please, no. So
tell me, your boss, I just had a bad idea.
Yeah. Well, tell me. So, and I on purpose I came up with not so good ideas. No. Yeah, and then so
test it.
Yeah.
And did they speak up?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Because that's not so easy, In a hierarchical society like Japan, where age and stage and status is respected.
Yeah.
And you're new.
Yeah, well, sorry.
Not so easy to tell the new boss his ideas dumb.
Right. Yeah, but sorry to interrupt you. But now, maybe the good thing is that all the key persons are age-wise younger or close to me. No?
Oh, really? Okay.
So in our team, yeah.
Okay.
So we have, I think the average age is around 42.
Okay.
In which you see a lot of foreign subsidiaries, smaller ones, where the age is above 50, but 42 average age for the average years at the company is close to 10. So that's I find this quite good numbers, I have to say. So this is,
So they're telling the boss his idea was dumb. I'm impressed by that, getting him to do that. But it's important and also I think too, how we react to it. When people come up with what you think is a dumb idea from
Yeah.
their part,
Yeah.
And I had a boss once, it was just brutal. We were having these wall leader team meetings. Every country would come together and we'd have these ideation sessions. His ideation session was him standing at the whiteboard with a whiteboard marker saying, give me some ideas, and then telling you, well, that's a stupid idea. Oh, we tried that, didn't work. Next idea. Just killed everybody, Within 10 seconds, everyone's looking at their shoes, that I break the eye contact. It was brutal, absolutely brutal. It never worked, of course, So how we treat their not so great ideas is important. So how do you treat their not so great ideas? What have you found works?
Not so what I say. So
On their side, they give you an idea. You don't think that idea is much good. You're thinking, well, that's never going to work. I don't like that. But how do you handle that?
Well, in that way, I'm pretty Japanese, so okay. Or maybe we can try that later.
Very vague.
let's keep the
Nice and vague.
Yes. So maybe not the right timing. Also, or have you considered this aspect? So or sometimes is also if I want to discuss, just say, it's decided by the company, ne? あれもう決まってますね. So this is like, so this is like, so sometimes I heard a story once, so maybe it's interesting. So someone told me when story from the 80s. So he told me on Tuesday the canteen, was a big company, is closed. No, people had to eat outside, and then he asked, why is the canteen closed on Tuesday? So this was decided some while ago. It was decided, no? So that's why I think it's a key lesson. It was decided, no? But then they don't question anymore.
They just accept it.
They don't accept it. Yeah. Sometimes, not always, no? But,
on a related subject, not a great idea how you handle that. What about when there are mistakes? We have at the sort of theoretical level, we run around saying things like, mistakes are part of learning, and it's a learning opportunity, and we are the sum total of all the mistakes we've made in our lives, and that's why we've learned what does work and doesn't work, and that's who we are today. So it's a good thing at the theoretical level, right?
Yeah.
But in reality, how we handle the mistakes is very critical, because you might say that, and then there's a huge number, yen or euro number, attached to that mistake, and the boss just goes right off and explodes and abusing people and really boiling them out for the mistake they made. And everyone's watching this. They realize, okay, boss has got a pretty bad temper. I'm going to hide everything from the boss because I don't want to go through that myself. I'm not going to share everything either because I'm going to protect myself. And then, as the boss, you miss a lot of what's going on. What have you found works well in terms of handling mistakes?
Yeah, well, what I tell my people is, so you're allowed to make every mistake, no? But only once.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Every mistake is allowed, but only once, no? But second time, so like.
And what happens if they make the same mistake twice? What happens then?
Well, I have to discuss, no? So, you remember, no? So I think you should know that what we have discussed, no? And you agreed on that, so, no? But, if I think now, fortunately, it never happened like a
major thing.
On a major thing, exactly. Yeah. So we had once. I don't want to go into details what happens, but so alcohol was involved, no? So and then I think sometimes I also have to make a keikokusho warning. Yeah.
Also, sometimes I find in Japan that when people disagree, they don't say, I disagree. They say, I didn't, they don't do it, right? I didn't understand.
Yeah.
I didn't understand what you wanted.
Yeah.
They understood perfectly what I wanted,
Correct.
but they didn't want to do it, so they don't do it. And then when you ask them about it, so I didn't understand. It's like, okay, I realize, that's code for I disagree with you, right?
Yeah.
We're going to have a different conversation here. How's your experience been on that?
Exactly. Well, so yeah, if you ask Japanese, yeah, do you understand? No, you usually say yes, no, because it's too embarrassing to say no, I didn't. No? So yeah, what I try to do is to do the first necessary action very soon, very right away. No, so yeah, that shows to me that they have understood, and also like to them
So the
that
follow-up is important.
I am serious on that issue.
Yeah,
And the
you're
follow-up
following
is
up, yeah.
important. Yeah.
Because what happens, I think, for anyone, you're busy, and I'm guilty of this. So I'm raising my own hand here. As you know, I get excited by things, and then I get excited by something else over here, and I forget about that. And then weeks go by, and I think, oh yeah, what happened about X, Y, Z? And I go back, and nothing's happened about X, Y, Z because I got diverted. So that follow-up thing is not that easy. I've found for myself.
Correct. Yeah.
I have to write it down.
Yeah,
Otherwise, I might get diverted and forget, and then you lose time, you lose weeks. So it's not that easy.
Exactly.
What about trust? Trust is important everywhere.
Yes.
But I think in a country like Japan, which is highly risk averse, people worried about face, working for foreign organizations, it's a different level of stress, I guess.
Yeah.
What have you found works well in building trust with the team?
Building trust with the team. Yeah, I think trust. Well, first and foremost, it's the reward. Yeah. So that I mean, here, this is where we want to go. This is our common goal, and of course, then you will get the bonus, better bonus, and so on. Keeping the words builds trust. No. So because
keeping your word,
keeping my word,
do
also
what you say.
For me as a managing
be
director,
consistent.
The consistency, correct, so that they don't get disappointed, and listening to them, and I would say never promise something which you can't keep. Yeah, if you cannot keep your words, I think this is important.
And I think seems to me, I don't work with you, so I don't know, but it seems to me you have a fairly stable approach. I can't imagine working for a boss whose moods go like this. Fortunately, I've never had that experience to work with one who's highly moody, but I did work for one boss, though, who was a complete contrast from the immediate previous boss, who was ex-military, very hard man, strict, hard. And then the new boss was very flexible and easy.
Yes.
And I thought, oh, this is nice, this is good. But then I discovered that the boss would agree to whoever was the last person in his office. So you go in to get something agreed, and he agrees, you think that's good. But then someone else comes in after you with a different idea, and he agrees to that too, and your idea's out the window. And I thought, hey, there's no core here. Everything's a moving feast here. Who spoke to him last is where we are. And I found that not moody, but I'm going to say not solid, not fixed, not reliable in the sense of he told me yes, I'm going to do it, but then he changed his mind because someone had a different idea.
Yes.
Like, wait a minute. But, I think particularly for Japanese, this mood thing, that can't work. It's got to be stable, consistent, predictable, particularly. What's your experience been on that?
Yeah, I would say stable mood is important in Japan, of course. No? So, I mean, I'm usually, friendly. I mean, doesn't mean so sometimes I try to not let it out. Sometimes you need to let it out. No? If you always we are not Zen monks, no. So, but maybe sometimes I hit the table or so, so that even the people can hear. I don't care about that, but not towards anybody, no. Unless it's something really significant mistake.
Well, generally we talk about if you have to discipline people, you do it in private, not publicly. So I presume that's what you're doing as well. Particularly in Japan, although we were in the Mochizuki training room. I remember I was talking to a guy. We were doing leadership training he was in his sort of late 40s, I guess. And he was saying to me, you were talking about leaders and how we should operate with people, use the Dale Carnegie principles. You mentioned your dad had read the book, etc. And he said to me, he said, yeah, when I was young and I started my first job, my Japanese boss got so angry with me, he threw an ashtray at my head.
Seriously?
Seriously.
Wow.
And I thought, wow, but knowing Japan back in the day, I could believe that. There was no such thing as disciplining in private. They were like scolding people in public to that point, I mean, things have changed
Totally.
now. And I'm not saying Japan's the only place that ever happened, but I just feel that we've moved on from that.
Correct,
Yeah.
No, I experienced that too, like during the nomikai, during the drinking party, after work drinking session. So that really people can get nasty, the bosses.
To you?
No, not to me specifically.
But your colleagues getting nasty about the bosses, to the bosses?
It's rather the other way, so the bosses towards the employees.
Bosses going
scolding them really like this, and
okay.
facing each other and
really
talking.
When you're supposed to be relaxing, having a nice drink, the boss is using it to tell you off.
But sometimes, I mean, that word communication. I think it really makes sense because then they open up, and then they sometimes I also had saw it that people start to
say
fight.
what they really want to say. Interesting.
Interesting.
And what about culture? Because you have headquarter culture.
Yes.
Which is global, and then you have, we're in Japan.
Yes.
Japan culture. And then you have Carl culture, what you like. So you can't go against corporate culture, you'll be out of a job. And you can't go against Japanese culture because nothing's going to work. So you're operating within those boundaries, but still you bring your touch, you bring your way of thinking, your style, your own culture to the organization.
Yes.
What have you found works well in building a culture in Japan?
Well, I think you have to be principled, I would say. I mean, so this is I made it clear. So that's where we want to come. This we have to achieve. So, most of our employees are long time with the company, so they know what works, what is not. And then after now almost 5 years, they know my expectations. And if they ask, so for example, just yesterday I had a talk with an employee. I do annual talk once at the beginning of the year with every employee, and to which degree can I decide by myself? So just decide how you do. So for minor things, don't ask anybody. So because everyone is an entrepreneur. Yes. I would say so. This is the attitude I try to teach them within the boundaries.
It's not such an easy thing in Japan, though, because in a Western mind, you tell me, we're all entrepreneurs. You decide, and automatically I know I have accountability. I have responsibility at the same time. I'm getting the freedom, but I'm also getting the accountability. But I find in Japan, they don't want the accountability. They'd prefer if Carl told them what to do, and Carl takes responsibility if it screws up, and they have no responsibility or accountability. They do their job, but they're not taking the responsibility part. So when we say as foreigners, hey, be entrepreneurial, Japanese are not thinking, hey, fantastic. They're thinking,
but what needs to be done to get the job done? That is the question. So that's for example, one example. So just in the beginning, so service guys, they always came to me. Can I use the service car to go to the customers? Why are you asking me to use we have the service car, and obviously you need to go to the customer, otherwise the customer is not happy. So of course you can use the service car. So why are you even asking me? And he said, the previous, your predecessor, he told us, so he you should always ask whether you can use the car.
The predecessor's real control and command guy, wasn't he?
It was, yeah, obviously.
Yeah. And what about, Carl, if someone rang you up and said, hey, Carl, my company's sending me to Japan to run our operation there, and you've been there forever, Carl. You know all about Japan. I don't know anything about Japan. How can I be an effective leader in Japan? What advice would you give them?
What a single advice? It's well, first of all, in Japan, everything takes longer. So don't rush.